Okay, we are on TV now. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, 8th chapter. We'll do a few verses because most don't have purports. So we'll start with this verse we'll chant will be number 22. Chirayor nahi shila mangalam Kvachitad apyasti navejam ayushaha Yatro vayam kutra chaso pyamangala. Samangala kascha na kankshate himam. Kvachit chirayor na hishila mangalang. Kvachit tad apyasti navedyam ayushaha. Yatro bhayam kutra chaso pyamangala. Samangala kasya na kankshate himam. Kvachit chirayor na hishila mangalang. Kvachit tadapyasti navedyam ayushaha. Yatro vayam kutra chaso pyamangala. Sumangala kasya na kankshate himam. Kvachit chirayor na hishila mangalam. Kvachit tadapyasti navedyam ayushaha. Yatro vayam kutra chaso pyamangala. Sumangala kasya na kankshate himam. Kvachit chirayor na hishila mangalam. Kvachit tadapyasti navedyam ayushaha. Yatro vayam kutra chaso pyamangala. Sumangala kasya na kankshate himam. Word for word. Kvachit, someone. Chira ayuhu, has a long duration of life. Na, not. He, indeed. Shila mangalam, good behavior or auspiciousness. Kvachit, someone. Tat api, although possessing good behavior. Asti, is. Na, not. Vedyam ayushaha, aware of the duration of life. Yatra uvayam, if there are both behavior and auspiciousness. Kutra, somewhere. Cha, also. Saha, that person. Api, although. Amangalaha, a little inauspicious in some other detail. Mangala. Mangala means auspicious, and then put an A in front, makes it inauspicious. Mangala. Okay. Sumangala, auspicious in every respect. Kasya, someone. Na, not. Kankshate, desires. He, indeed. Mam, me. Translation. Someone may have longevity, but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspiciousness and good behavior, but the duration of his life is not fixed. Although such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits like living in crematoriums. And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is so Goddess of Fortune analyzing who's qualified, who's not qualified to be her husband. So repeat after me. Someone may have longevity, but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspiciousness and good behavior, but the duration of life is not fixed. Although such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits, like living in crematoriums. And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's no purport, so I'll read the next verse. Shukadeva Goswami continued, in this way, after full deliberation, the goddess of fortune accepted Mukunda as her husband, because although he is independent and not in want of her, he possesses all transcendental qualities and mystic powers and is therefore the most desirable. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is self-sufficient. Since he is fully independent, he was not in want of the support or association of Lakshmi Devi. Nonetheless, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, accepted him as her husband. So, of course, all the demigods are there. All the demigods, all the demons, churning this ocean of milk, and Lord Vishnu is also there. So she's looking through. She's looking at everyone, all the demigods, all the demons, and of course the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and she's step by step saying, well, this one has this problem, this demigod has this problem, these demons definitely have these problems, problem, all the way through, and so finally she concludes that the only one that's fit that she would accept as her husband was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is natural because she's eternally the eternal consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she's analyzing like that, and she's mentioning that although the Supreme Lord, he's fully self-sufficient. We are not self-sufficient. We need so many things, and we need others. We need association too. Krishna doesn't need association because he just expands himself into whoever he wants. Balarama is an expansion of Krishna. Radharani is an expansion like that. All the devotees in the spiritual world are expansions. And indirectly, we are also not expansions exactly, but we're created by the Lord. So he doesn't need anyone. He's fully self-sufficient. He's fully self-satisfied. So he didn't need her, but she accepted him because he's the Supreme Lord, and she's a devotee of the Supreme Lord, big devotee of the Supreme Lord. So um, that was a very short purport. So we're going to read another couple of verses and then a purport. So next verse. Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Goddess of Fortune placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which was surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. Then, expecting to get a place on the bosom of the Lord, she remained standing by his side, her face smiling in shyness. This next translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Father of the three worlds, and his bosom is the residence of Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the proprietor of all opulences. The goddess of fortune, by her favorable and merciful glance, can increase the opulence of the three worlds, along with their inhabitants and their directors, the demigods. Purport. According to the desire of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, the Supreme Personality of Godhead made his bosom her residence, so that by her glance, she could favor everyone, including the demigods or ordinary human beings. In other words, since the goddess of fortune stays on the bosom of Narayan, she naturally sees any devotee who worships Narayan. When the goddess of fortune understands that a devotee is in favor of devotional service to Narayan, she is naturally inclined to bless the devotee with all opulences. The karmis try to receive the favor and mercy of Lakshmi, but because they are not devotees of Narayan, their opulence is flickering. The opulence of devotees who are attached to the service of Narayan is not like the opulence of the karmis. The opulence of the devotees is as permanent as the opulence of Narayan himself. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnanajana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Nina Tasmai Shri Guru. So, I mentioned before on the chest, here it says bosom, but it means this area here, of Lord Narayan, there's a little bit of white hair. That's actually Lakshmi Devi, or that she's somehow taking that form or residing there. She's always there with him. And she's also sometimes separate doing service, but she's always there. So it's described here that Mother Lakshmi Devi was she's there with Lord Narayan constantly. She never leaves him, and of course she sees who is worshiping him, Narayan or Krishna, one of the Vishnu forms. She sees who is worshiping him, and she'll give different kinds of opulences. And for the non-devotees, non-devotees also get opulence, but it is flickering. Someone in this lifetime maybe have millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars, maybe we've got trillions of dollars yet in this planet, but large amounts of money they may have, and maybe they're not even a devotee of God, but somehow from previous life they've got that karma. But they will not keep that forever. They may be very rich in this lifetime, and they may take a next birth may be very poor. So the So if one is not a devotee of the Lord, then although he may have so much opulence in his lifetime, but in due course of time, he'll lose all that opulence also. He cannot keep it. So it might be, I guess, a logical question would be, uh, we're all trying to be devotees of Krishna. Um, I don't think I'm particularly wealthy, right? Uh, anyone here actually really secretly very, very rich? No. So, and yet it says, become a devotee of the Lord, then we become full of opulence. So the understanding is that we are full of opulence is not just money. Um, um, Ultimately, actually, the real opulence is the opportunity for devotional service. In the spiritual world, yes, they will have everything in terms of money, wealth, uh, uh, everything we'll have. And here, we may or may not appear to be a wealthy person, but if we have the Lord's devotional service, that is the biggest and best opulence. Just like there's a story about Sudam Brahmana. Everyone who knows who Sudama Brahmana was? During Krishna's pastimes in 5,000 years ago. So Krishna had a friend. They went to school together, schoolmates. His friend was, Krishna actually went to school. Show a good example for us. So he went to school, as all young boys did at that time. Around 5 years old, they all went up to the Gurukula and stayed with their spiritual master for so many years. So one of his friends in the school was named Sudama. Sudama was a Brahminical background. Krishna came from Vaishya background. Sudama was a Brahminical background. But they were friends, good friends. So in due course of time, they grow up and they leave the school and they go on with their life. But Krishna, of course, is, created his whole, later on went to Dwarka, and it was a very extremely opulent place, and so many thousands of millions of palaces, and he had so much opulence. And Sudam Brahmana was a very, very poor. He was very poor. Hardly, he was hardly had anything. So Sudama's wife asked him, knowing that Krishna was very rich and Krishna was his friend and was living in Dwarka, says, "Why don't you go to Dwarka and visit your friend Krishna, and maybe you can ask him. Maybe he'll give you a little wealth, because we're so poor we can hardly even eat." So he packed up. He wasn't interested in asking Krishna for anything. He was happy to see Krishna, but he was not happy. He was not anxious to ask Krishna for anything. But he was going there, so you go somewhere, you bring some gift. So he was very poor. He had nothing. So took some chipped rice. Chipped rice means low class, broken rice. So he took that chipped rice, tied it up in a cloth, and carried it with him. And in those days, he probably walked all the way to Dwarka. That was his. Usually, people didn't. No airplanes, no trains, no cars, no electric cars, things like that. Mostly, everyone walked. So he walked. He walked all the way to Dwarka. Jai Shri Gauranitai, Shri Radha Vrajabihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Lord Nishikade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. So he went all the way to Dwarka, and then and Krishna was very, very happy to see him, his old friend, his old schoolmate friend, and because he was a Brahmana, and when he went to Krishna's palace, one of his palaces. Krishna had over 16,000 palaces, but he went into one, and Krishna saw him and sat him down. Actually, sat him down on his own bed, and you sit here and let me wash your feet, which was common practice. You have a guest, and it had a practical means too, because he probably was walking barefooted all that way, so his feet were probably dirty. So he washed the feet, and he was just did arti for him. We do offer arti to the deities, but in a cultured family, and you have a respectable guest coming, they'll sit you down and they'll do arti for you. And I've seen it. I went to a home program one time, and they insisted, okay, you sit here. They did the foot bathing thing, and then they did arti. The host did arti for the guest. Yes, that was so a cultured family they do like that. So Krishna he personally washed the feet of Sudam Brahmana, and I think his wife Rukmini in that palace was fanning him with a chamra fan. Like we have chamra fan, the white fan. So he was doing like that. So they were doing like this, and then they were very happy meeting, and they were talking, and they spent some time together. And then Sudam Brahmana was feeling very, he felt so happy to see Krishna. He's a good friend Krishna. He never even occurred to him about asking about, give me some wealth, which Krishna could have done very easily. He never even thought about asking Krishna for anything. And in due course of time, he headed back to his home, and it didn't occur to him. But when he got back to his home, he found, he was surprised, because where is my home? And then because there was where his little hut was. Now there's a big like a palace, and so much opulence, and his wife comes out and very happy that but he never asked. He never asked for anything, because he was just happy to see Krishna. So like that. So that's an instance where someone, being a devotee of the Lord, was actually given, real opulence of that sort. But we understand that everything in the Vedas, everything that's stated is true. So we think, okay, well, I'm a devotee, or at least I'm on the path trying to become a devotee. So why am I not very, very wealthy right now? Why I started chanting Hare Krishna a few months ago or a few years ago. I should be a trillionaire by now, right? No. And also Krishna. He because we're trying to become Krishna conscious, we're on the path. So because we're trying to become Krishna conscious, Krishna will also personally take charge of us. And personally take charge of us means he may not give us everything that we want right now, because what we want may not be good for us. So you can imagine if we're starting to chant Hare Krishna, and we're having, but we're still got material desires, but we just, I like chanting, I like prasadam, I like being around the devotees, but, if we had the opportunity, we start looking at all the nice, opulent things in the world that other people have, and then think, wow, if only I could have that, then I'd be happy. Okay. So Krishna sees all that. He knows what we're thinking. He knows he's inside. He's got an inside view of our thoughts. Can't hide anything from Krishna. So he's inside our heart, and he knows what we're thinking all the time. He knows what our plans are. He knows what our motives are, like that. But he also sees that we're using our free will and attempting to become Krishna conscious. We're making we've made that decision that to use my free will, at least part of the time, to try to become Krishna conscious. And he wants to help us to do that, because that's really his interest too, that we become Krishna conscious. So he, if he sees that some devotee, or aspiring devotee, someone who's on the path trying to become a pure devotee of Krishna, is has a lot of material desires, then he will see how he can give a little bit of that, so that we can help us to develop some faith in him. But at the same time, maybe not give us 100%. He doesn't make it into billionaires and gives all kinds of material things that we wish that we had. Because if we had all those things, we would probably become so bewildered, thinking that and puffed up with our false sense of false prestige, that we'd give up our spiritual life. After all, why worship God if I got billions of dollars? I can do anything. I can have anything I want. Right? So the mind goes like that, and Krishna knows our mind. So he'll hold back certain things. And on the other side, he might, in some cases, he'll give something, because there are devotees who have wealth, who are born into wealthy situations, or somehow acquire wealth easily. And so Krishna sees that here's somebody who can actually handle it, and of course he'll give it. Just like Srila Prabhupada. When he was in India, when he was before he first came to America, astrologically he was supposed to become a very extremely wealthy person. But his business in India, which started failing, is Krishna's arrangement, and it wasn't because Srila Prabhupada needed any. Srila Prabhupada didn't. It's not that Srila Prabhupada would lose his Krishna consciousness if he had money, but somehow or other Krishna made his businesses start crumbling in due course, but at the same time his preaching attempts were increasing. So Srila Prabhupada took like that. Oh, Krishna wants me to concentrate more here. It's like you say, you watch the signs, the symptoms. So his business was going bad, but his attempt to preach was increasing. And of course, Srila Prabhupada, his spiritual master, had already told him, you preach to the English-speaking people, especially. So he was already thinking, English-speaking people. Go to English-speaking countries, like America, or England. I don't know if he specified, but he had a godbrother or godbrothers who went to England to try to convince the people to become Krishna conscious. They were not very successful at the time. But Srila Prabhupada was sent. His plan was to go to America, to New York specifically. New York was what they call it, the Big Apple. They call it Big Apple. New York City is a big place, and so Srila Prabhupada went, and struggled for some time. But Srila Prabhupada also, by staying and keep preaching Krishna consciousness, then so much came. In due course of time, there were more temples were coming, and then Srila Prabhupada was writing books, and some disciples started realizing, hey, we can actually sell these books, big books. In the beginning, when I joined the movement, a few big books were there, but Sankirtan meant Back to Godhead magazine in those days. But in time, devotees started realizing, hey, we can actually sell these big books. And so the books went out, Lakshmi came in, the money came in, the temple, the movement started becoming kind of wealthy. Sometimes big buildings, big temples were being built. So, and this, of course, is all under Srila Prabhupada's direction. So, in a sense, Srila Prabhupada became very, very wealthy in the end. He never claimed any wealth for himself. He said, I'm simply doing this on behalf of my spiritual master. I'm I'm just another devotee in ISKCON. Just another devotee. He's feeling. So he was preaching, and Krishna sent him everything. Materially, everything was there, and it gave him all facility for preaching Krishna consciousness, which is another kind of opulence. Opulence is not just wealth. There are 6 kinds of opulence. What are they?
Health, fame, beauty.
Health wasn't actually listed. Wealth, strength, beauty, fame. They already said that. Knowledge. And what else? There's 6. Renunciation.
That's the most important.
Yeah, so Krishna has all these opulences in full, and but someone else can also have them, but just in microscopic amounts, like that. But Krishna has everything, and yet he's not attached to any of it, so he's very renounced, like that. So, it's 8:29 already. I have to stop here. Any questions, comments?
Swayambhava, is it, so this is accepted in Vedic scriptures to Swayambhava, so that a lady can pick up a husband. But what if he doesn't accept her?
Who she chooses doesn't accept her?
Yes.
Well, that's not usually a problem. Usually the husbands, or the potential husbands, are there specifically because they are interested in her. They actually come there hoping that she will choose them.
Okay, so this is somehow arranged.
Yeah, this is yeah.
The ceremony.
Yeah, it's just I was giving the example. I'm not sure if you were in the class that day or there's just like Arjuna, he attended the such a ceremony. I think Draupadi.
Yes. So
And he Arjuna and he won. In that case, it was a contest. So he won the contest. So and nobody else. He won the contest. So he got her. And Lord Ramachandra, he also went to try to get the hand of the Sita. And there the contest was to see who could pick up this huge bow that took 300 people to carry it into the assembly hall. It was a very big bow. So nobody can even budge it in any way. All these big, strong men, but it took 300 men to carry it in. So who can pick this up? But if you can't pick it up, then you're not qualified to marry her. So Lord Ramachandra went in there after so many others attempted, and with one hand, like a piece of like a piece of dry wood or something, just picked it up very easily, and then he strung the bow, pulled the string back, and actually broke the bow. And speaking of picking it up, he was able to bend it so much that he broke the bow. So he won the contest, and he got Sita as his wife. So so that these arrangements like that were made for certain qualified ladies. But generally the arrangements for marriage were arranged by the parents on both sides.
But what if parents disagree? So
What do the parents disagree?
disagree
Disagree with what?
with her decision.
No. She in this in usually it's the parents that made the arrangements. Usually this is Vedic culture. Usually the parents choose uh, from early in the life of the boy and the girl. Here's who's going to be the husband. Here's who's going to be the wife, based on astrology and whatever the considerations they have. And it usually worked because they could. It was based on the tendency is material tendency is okay. Who right now under this can satisfy my senses or whatever. This is who I want. And maybe 5 years down the road, the other parts of the nature of somebody come out, and then you see, hey, this was not a good arrangement. But astrologically, you can you can see from childhood what someone's tendency is. This person has a demonic tendency. This person has a religious tendency.
You can see it from the
Yeah, from astrologically, if you have a good astrologer, like that, like that, and that way, usually it worked out. And even if it didn't seem like it at first, in the end, it worked. It worked, in almost every case. These days, nobody accepts these things, but that was a system then. But if some lady was very, very, very qualified, then they did this Swayamvara ceremony. Those are rare.
but also with the parents' approval.
Well, the parents were allowing her to do that because they saw that she was extraordinarily qualified.
Okay. Yeah, just I'm just trying to follow. If she picks herself, then it doesn't necessarily mean that her parents like the candidates, right?
Well, in only a few instances where this happened, which is rare because it was a very special case. Everyone seemed to be very happy with it. Because they knew that the daughter was very, very, very qualified in this sense, and her decision would be a good decision, and she would decide what the test would be or the qualifications would be. Just like Lakshmi Devi here, we're reading, and she's got very she's analyzing in so many ways. Who she would accept, and it basically it came down to the fact that it could be no one except for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She knew what to look for. It wasn't some immediate sense gratification. It was she looked at the last several verses we read. It's all about her analysis. Okay, this person may be good in this way, but they're lacking here. This person's like good in this way, but they're lacking there. But then finally, she came to the point of, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He's like everything in full, and there's not lacking anything, and that's who I will accept.
So just by looking at them, she assessed their quality.
Yes, she knew. And of course, Lakshmi Devi is very, very qualified herself. She's the goddess of fortune. But that's usually not the case with. It's usually not the case, but in her case, and in some extremely rare cases, and yes, that's how it works. Okay, I think we're over time here. So we end here. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.